Hi, my name is Anthony Godfrey Adams. Some friends and I have got together to produce a documentary about some very serious social issues, the rise in food banks. We used to be a country governed by strong principles, but now we've become a country governed by extreme values. But we don't all have the same values.
It should never happen that we have to feed so many people. I don't know whether you're aware of the statistics. In 2013, 13 million people were living in poverty in this country. The amazing thing is that half those people were in employment, and that's the first time we've had that situation in this country for decades. And I think in many respects we've gone backwards as a country. The fact that we've got so many people needing food. More and more nurses, would you believe it, are actually using food banks because they can't afford to live properly. And I think that's an indictment on our country.
This is Beckenham, part of the London Borough of Bromley. A place you would normally associate with food banks. But this conservative town serves many, many people just a few miles away from this town centre. Today, we are speaking to the residents of Beckenham and seeing what they think about food banks.
We didn't need them until we had a Conservative government.
I think it's a terrible thing to happen in this day and age with all this money about, you know, that we should share and share alike, really.
I think it's very sad that in the UK in 2016 we actually need them and so many people are reliant on them.
People should have food and drink and they shouldn't be struggling so much. No one should be struggling.
There's so many bills to pay and at the end of the day you find you haven't got enough money to feed your family.
The numbers increasing. It's just a mistake. This shouldn't happen in this country.
We're one of the richest countries in the world and people shouldn't be having to use food banks. And that really is a shame on this country.
What is really painful at this time is that I should be retiring and I feel under so much pressure to go and get a job. And I feel robbed of my retirement.
When I first started being a councillor in 2002, there were no food banks and there was no need for food banks.
0 hours have been a major factor of people turning to food banks.
It's well known that there are a fair number of companies that are quite keen to push these 0 hours contracts, etc. And I mean, I just don't know how people plan for the future. How can you manage a household budget when you don't know exactly what income or what work you're getting for particular weeks and even months at an end? I just find that impossible to believe how people can survive. And again, presumably they're having to turn to food banks.
Politically, I actually feel that they'd love to undermine food banks because they're not actually seeing the real people.
There was a certain amount of hypocrisy involved in the proliferation, if you like, of food banks, because what was happening was that there were massive cuts taking place. People were losing their jobs and people were being forced, if you like, onto benefits and then finding that their benefits were cut or that increasingly they were being sanctioned.
I got put onto full ESA, which is not disability or anything like that, but my money has basically been cut exactly in half. And for 6 months I received no money at all.
The state is being allowed to get off the hook at providing unemployment benefit, and we fought for that. We fought for dignity when we didn't have a job. We fought for unemployment benefit, housing benefit, all the things that were there as a safety net that have been taken away. And it's a bit of a dilemma, the discussion around food banks, because you don't want people to be hungry, but at the same time you want to fight to defend unemployment benefit and the welfare state.
They think they can actually blanket everyone together without realising that each person has different issues. and they have to be dealt with individually.
What we got is a deliberate policy by the government to reduce welfare payments down to a level below which people can't survive, can't support themselves, and it's become a punitive system rather than a supportive system. And if I had my way, we'd go back to it being a supportive system where we'd actually support people back into work, back into a normal life, back into being able to look after themselves, rather than punishing them into doing it. It's not the sort of society I want to live in.
I will only use a food bank when I really, really need to. I've got something I can make myself a meal with. I won't use the food bank because, as far as I'm concerned, there's other people out there that need it more than I do.
I don't think I'll be using food bank for much longer unless I need to.
I don't want to claim food bank, but so I need to basically live.
I need this basically to live. I need this basically to live. Many of the individuals you have heard from in this documentary live very transient lifestyles on a day-to-day basis and have very limited coping skills. The poor are being penalised for being poor. When has being poor ever been classified as deviant behaviour? This is not propaganda, this is real talk.